Good afternoon to you. My name is Evans Rubara. I'm an activist from Tanzania. I don't have any technical, explanations like my friend Todd has given. But at least I could share with you a little bit about what is happening on the ground in Tanzania. Mining industry in Tanzania, the social and environmental woes. A number of us, if you were to be asked when the mining activity started in Tanzania, I believe that even Mia was actually flowing in the same current, that it all started sometime in 1996, which is not the truth. And a lot of the mining injustices documented in Tanzania are known to a number of us, or was known to a number of us, is that it all started when certain resources and Barrick Gold Corporation exchanged hands in business back in 1996, which led to the forced deaths, or the most painful deaths, of over 72 artisanal miners in the Bulyanhulu mining area. But I was corrected when I was trying to look into the mining landscape of Tanzania, and I was struck to find out that actually mining activities in Tanzania goes back to the latter part of the 19th century, and that is that covers a good number of years in the year between 1884 to 1918. And in this period, there were a number of notable events that took place. If you look at here, it was back in the colonial era. And again, it depends on how you're going to define the colonial era in a number of African countries. But in Tanzania, this is where it started, and we see that until 1918, there was some sort of large-scale mining activities going on. But mostly and fundamentally, in the Tanzanian experience, we are told that in 1898, the first gold mining by the German in Geita, Kahama and Sekenke, were actually established and were up and operating. And this was mainly known as the Lake Victoria goldfields. Now, as you may know already, a number of mining, gold mining activities, even actually precious stones like diamond, is happening in the northern part of Tanzania and around the Lake Victoria area. 1919 and 1961, I'm just giving you a historical background on how it all started, so that we have something on mining in Tanzania. 1919 and 1961 was the British period, and this marked two major two important activities. The first one was in 1921, when the first mining legislation was formulated for Tanzania. And then this was followed by the geological survey, which was carried around Tanzania in 1926. But since all this happened during a time when probably the colonialists, the imperialists, decided that they wanted some sort of a bond to back up their economies when anything goes wrong, then I found out in my study that all the legislation was formulated and dictated by the British economic needs and security. So resources in Tanzania were like bonds, economic bonds for the imperialists. And therefore, when we are talking about, some time back I wrote an article which was talking about how mining reintroduces the Victorian rule, the colonialist rule. This is actually what I meant, whereby everything that was done by the colonialists, it seemed to our people, to our pioneers, the pioneers of mining in Tanzania, the local pioneers of mining in Tanzania, like it was to help us develop. But eventually it proved that it was not the case. And this actually led to the expulsion of the German sometime after 1931 from the Geita goldfields by Nyerere, our hero and a true African son. In 1926, this is the geological map which came out, and as you can see, there is a lot of mining, minerals in Tanzania. And what you see here is what you see in other countries in Africa, including Zambia, where I had the privilege to work for 2 years, and also saw some of the atrocities caused, against humanity, which were actually driven by the mining activities in those areas. And so this whole area here, this is, these are areas where gold mining taking place, and some of them are actually nickel mining. And there is a lot of, right now we're talking about uranium mining, which you can see by these signs. And we have gemstones around this area where we had Williamson's diamonds operating, and they actually closed their work last year. And the environmental impact in that area are actually unspeakable. And then a lot of that we will talk about later, but this is what actually came out in this period in 1926. Then this map was there. So that sometimes makes me wonder why a number of mining companies, when they come to Africa, or to Tanzania for that matter, they say that they have made a new discovery. It's no new discovery, because this, all the mineral-rich fields were mapped out before even our forefathers were born. So they exactly knew where they were going, but they're trying to fool the foolish one who actually does not want to dig deep to know how rich Tanzania is and how much the imperialists knew even before they came. And while they would say that actually they came into Tanzania, some of them went through Zanzibar and saying that it is a spice kind of a field. It was just an entry for them because it was easy accessible by sea to make them actually get into mainland and explore and plan how they're going to exploit our resources and, in a way, kill our people. The state of mining in Tanzania. Between 1970 to late 1980s, the mining fields in Tanzania were actually state controlled. In a way, it should be in inverted commas, because when you look at the scenario, the policies which were structured favored the colonialist, the imperialist interests. And even today, the mining policy, the mineral policy in Tanzania, we take the mineral policy and the Mining Act in Tanzania, only has a few words introduced to it because civil society organizations started making noise about the atrocities in 2007. So to please us who make noise, the government decided that now we are going to say all the gemstones are going to be, the licenses are going to be given to locals, and the royalties are going to be raised from 3% to 4%, when we propose that it should be between 5% to 15%, all right? And the government goes ahead to tell us that the corporation taxes, the rules on corporation taxes are only going to be changed for the new regime is going to be, they're saying that, okay, corporation taxes has to be paid between 3 to 5 years. That is what it was before. But then, I don't know what is so special about it now, but there is an exemption. The exemption is companies like Barrick Gold Corporation, who has been in Tanzania for more than 10 years, is exempted from paying that mandatory to start paying the corporation taxes. And I agree with Todd that the embassies and now CEDA, which is a sad state, has decided to play the public relations role. And back in 2008, 2009, the then ambassador to Tanzania, Canadian ambassador to Tanzania, literally went into our parliament to lobby right in our parliament. You know, they come into your sitting room, rather than being content with your sitting room, they go into your kitchen to see how you cook food, to nourish the health of your children, how they can actually kill them slowly. And that's what they have been doing to us. And so having said that, I really went ahead, but then we see that, you know, even though the policies remain the same, technically, but in 1990s, there was a restructuring which saw the influx of a number of mining companies coming into Tanzania, and we saw, as I said earlier, you know, Barrick Gold Corporation, the first story which I think hit the ears of those who are sensitive to the needs of the people in the South with respect to human rights etiquette. And in 1996, Barrick Gold Corporation obviously started its operations in Tanzania, having had an exchange in hands with certain resources. And Barrick Gold Corporation has all these stakes in Tanzania. They have 4 mines,